Welcome to the Cosmic Chosen channel. They didn't just steal from you. They built an entire agenda with your energy. Before you knew who you were, they did. And while you were out here healing, learning, and carrying generational weight on your back, they were cashing in on your name spiritually, emotionally, and in some cases, literally. They took your essence, your compassion, your silence, and turned it into currency. But here's the plot twist. You're the collateral, not the co-signer. They never asked for permission. Why would they? You were too rare, too divine, too inconveniently awakened to let move freely. So they did what the system always does when it fears something it can't control. It redirected your power without your consent. The audience didn't clap when you arrived. They sharpened their knives. Because the moment you stepped into alignment, the mask slipped off the whole room. And let's be real, a mirror they can't smash is more threatening than a monster they can slay. You didn't just change your life, you exposed theirs. According to research, stressed groups target the outlier, the one who sees, questions, and doesn't play along. That's why you've been the target, the misunderstood one, the villain in their whispered group chats. You became the scapegoat for a war they started with their own demons and charged it to your soul. But what they didn't plan for was the invoice coming due. And guess what? You're done paying interest on a debt that was never yours. Now, the truth is waking up, and the war they funded under your name, they'll have to fight it without your light or your power. First of all, chosen ones reveal what is already flawed rather than destroying communities. They like pretending that everything was okay before you arrived. However, what is the reality? There were already fissures. You just made it difficult for them to continue acting like that. You didn't damage anything. Before you, there were unsaid betrayals, silent grudges, and covert false friendships. Everyone was aware, but since maintaining the illusion was simpler, no one said. The illusion was abruptly destroyed as you entered the picture. Although you didn't want to expose anybody, your sheer presence made individuals choose between comfort or progress, truth or falsehoods, and genuine or artificial. They turn against you because you forced them to see what they wanted to ignore, not because you did something wrong. They weren't prepared to deal with truth, so your presence broke the unwritten agreements they had made with one another, the ones that stated, "Let's just keep pretending." Therefore, they criticized you for revealing the weaknesses rather than mending them. It explains why seemingly solid partnerships abruptly break down. Former allies are become adversaries who accuse one another of things they knew but were afraid to challenge. It was their own repressed problems that ultimately surfaced, not you, that made them turn on one another. You were only the impetus. The trouble is that, despite their insistence that you are the issue, they are aware of the reality. They are aware that the turmoil, treachery, and division have always existed and are just waiting for someone or anything to set it off. Since acknowledging the reality would require acknowledging that their basis was shaky long before you came, they will argue contrary. The underlying meaning behind the statement that everything was fine until you came along is, we were fine being in denial, and you ruined it. The second is that, until you surpass them, jealousy will masquerade as devotion. When you're having trouble, people will support you because they still see you as inferior. During difficult moments, they will cheer, offer words of support, and even pose as your staunchest allies. But as soon as you begin to rise, really rise, something changes. The same people who previously applauded are now questioning you, gossiping, and seeking excuses to be against you. That's no accident. Jealousy never makes an announcement. It appears as worry, criticism, or even phony humility, rather than as, "I hate that you're winning." They'll pretend you've changed, but what they really despise is that you've grown out of the version of yourself they were comfortable with. They may be your confidant, your knowledgeable guru, or your encouraging buddy while you were having difficulties. You no longer need them as much, though, and that hurts more than they'll ever acknowledge. What's worse is that they may not even be aware of their jealousy. You think you're better than us now. You got lucky. You forgot where you came from. These are all simply ways for them to justify their resentment. But the truth is that they can't bear to watch you achieve while they stay the same. The worst part is that they were always more devoted to their place in your life than they were to you. They enjoyed being in charge, offering you advice, and feeling significant because you were in need of them. Their allegiance vanished the instant your achievement jeopardized their status. They'll claim that you're the issue, that you changed, and that you became conceited about your accomplishment. However, the fact is that they never had an issue with you. Rather, they had an issue with your development as it made them realize all the things they might be but chose not to be. Number 3, the individuals who grin in your face are the true test, not your adversaries. You may easily identify your opponents. They don't pretend to be on your side or conceal their agenda. But what's the actual risk? It comes from the people who call you family, who grin in your face, and who pretend to always have your back until it costs them anything. When things are going well, they are right there with you, smiling, encouraging, and behaving as though nothing could ever sever your relationship. However, they reveal their true selves as soon as things go ugly, when there is pressure, controversy, or a chance to benefit at your expense. At first, they won't stab you in the back directly. Rather, they will withdraw, become quiet, and pretend they are blind to what is going on. When the stakes are high, they won't stand by you, protect you, or speak up. And that quiet? You have an option. It is a betrayal in silence. Even while they may not be the ones telling lies, they allow others to do so. Although they might not be the first to do so, they do not prevent others from doing so. You'll also come to the harsh realization that they were never really for you. They supported your concept and what you offered them. They stayed as long as it was easy for them to be near you. However, loyalty is put to the test when sticking by you comes at a price, not when things are simple. The unpleasant reality is that some individuals will only stick with you if it suits them. They leave as soon as it becomes uncomfortable to be in your corner or when you're in danger. Additionally, don't waste time becoming upset over this when you witness it. Consider it to be a lesson. Because someone isn't worthy of being by your side in the sunny if they can't stand by you throughout a storm. Fourth, you were the ideal fit for the villain they required. Individuals dislike accepting accountability for their own issues. When a community is already broken, when there's tension, division, and unspoken resentment simmering beneath the surface, they need someone to take the fall, someone to blame, to attack, to turn into the enemy, so they don't have to look in the mirror. And if you stand out in any way, if you're different, gifted, or simply unwilling to follow the herd, you become the perfect choice. It's not about you personally. It never was. You just happen to be the easiest target. Your presence alone interrupts their comfort, compels them to see things they don't want to see. So rather than facing their own inadequacies, they put everything onto you. Suddenly, you're the reason for the divide. You're the one producing difficulties. You are the villain in their narrative. They'll alter the story any way they need to. If you're successful, they'll claim you think you're superior than everyone else. If you're suffering, they'll behave like you earned it. If you try to protect yourself, they'll think you're aggressive. If you keep silent, they'll think you have something to conceal. No matter what you do, they'll find a way to frame you as the issue because embracing the truth that their own dysfunction produced this mess is too painful for them. The most ironic part? Not because you changed, but because your presence made them realize how little they had, the same individuals who previously respected you will be the first to turn against you. You just made it difficult for them to continue acting like they did. Not that you broke them. And instead of confronting it, they band together to hate you. It provides them with a sense of direction and a shared foe to fight. What people fail to see, though, is that villains are simply misinterpreted heroes. Who is narrating the narrative is the sole distinction. And the amusing aspect of tales? When the truth is eventually revealed, they change. Number 5. The people you trust the most are the ones who betray you, never strangers. A stranger may try to undermine you, despise you, or even tell lies about you. However, that isn't treachery. When someone you trusted and allowed into your life betrays you, it's called betrayal. And the people you least anticipate are invariably the ones who do it. They can cause more harm the closer they are. Your secrets are unknown to strangers. They are unaware of your background, your weaknesses, and your anxieties. But your loved ones? They've witnessed your worst moments. They are aware of your priorities, your nightly anxieties, and the things you would never want used against you. And they take advantage of everything when the time comes. Their motivations are different. Some people can't tolerate your progress and do it out of jealousy. Throwing you under the bus to protect themselves is what some people do for survival. Others just do it because they are able to. They feel entitled because of your closeness. They believe they ought to have access to your accomplishments, talents, and intellect. They become resentful when they discover they don't. Before you know it, the same someone who previously seemed to be on your side is planning your demise. What's the worst? They will not always launch a direct attack. Betrayal is subtle. The buddy who begins acting strangely but refuses to explain why. When others turn against you, it's the family member who abruptly ceases being your support system. It's the one who remains silent while your name is tarnished. Not because they are ignorant of the truth, but rather because they stand to gain from the falsehood. It will hurt at first. You'll wonder how someone you trusted could have done this, and you'll doubt everything. Once the grief subsides, however, you will see that betrayal is not about you, but rather reflects their weakness, their jealousy, or their incapacity to cope with your presence. Therefore, don't waste time getting even. Give them up. Give them no access. Let them bear the consequences of their actions, because there is always a price for treachery. What about the cost they incur? Losing a person they will never be able to reach again. 6th, their animosity is evidence that you're doing something correctly. Individuals don't expend energy on non-threatening people. You are not shaking anything if no one is attempting to bring you down or talking about you. You've upset something they wanted to maintain, which is why they're upset, chatting, and planning. And they despise you for precisely that reason. Hatred is a reaction, not a random emotion. When you refuse to remain in the box they constructed for you, it is set off. They'll put up with you as long as you're having trouble, acting weak, or being mute. But as soon as you get up and begin to have an influence, you're too much, too brash, too self-assured, too different. In reality, they are saying that you are too strong to manage. Of course, they won't acknowledge this. Instead, they will pass off their animosity as criticism or worry. They will claim that you are conceited, that you have changed, and that you are undeserving of your possessions. Some will even pretend to be the victim, fabricating tales, disseminating false information, and making you appear to be the issue. However, take note, they never target normal people. Those who blend in are not the targets of their rallies. They exclusively target those who are conspicuous. They don't feel intimidated because of you. Making oneself smaller to accommodate them is not your duty. It's their weakness, not yours, if your presence makes them uneasy. They attempt to convince people that you don't deserve it, because they can't stand to see you succeed. But they know deep down that you don't deserve it. They are aware that you deserve your position, and they despise you for precisely that reason. Let them speak then. Let them plot. Allow them to hurl everything at you, because they're confirming that you're doing something right the more they resist you. And how should I react? Continue to win. Continue to disprove them with evidence, not just words, because knowing that you can't stop a hater no matter what they do breaks their spirit more than anything else. Seventh, the loudest confession is silence. See who doesn't say anything. Loyalty is shown when things become nasty, not when it's comfortable. And listen carefully to those who remain silent while others turn against you. They aren't preventing the lies, but they might not be the ones telling them. And that quiet? It is more powerful than any insult. These are the individuals who formerly referred to you as a friend, relative, or even ally. When it was safe, and they had nothing to lose, they had no trouble being around you. However, they stop talking and retreat the moment they feel pressured, or that standing up for you may cost them something, like opportunity, social acceptance, or their personal feeling of security. It's not that they don't know the truth, rather, it's that they lack the confidence to stand with you. The true betrayal is that what they choose not to say is just as important as what they say. It's the knowledge that they had the option to stop the rumors, but choose not to. It's when they decided that their comfort was more important than the truth. After hearing others mispronounce your name, they made a choice. They weren't taken by surprise. They put their own survival ahead of morality. Let's face it, if you were in their shoes, you wouldn't hesitate. Some people may defend it to themselves by saying, "I didn't want to get involved. It's not my place. I didn't know what to say." Because you are who you are, you would unquestionably protect them. You can tell that the loyalty was never reciprocated because of this. Keep them quiet. Let them show themselves. After all, remaining silent is merely another way to choose a side. Don't waste your breath arguing with someone who didn't stand up for you when it counted. Just keep it in mind. You'll already know where they stand when the dust settles and they return like nothing happened. Eighth, you are just the strongest. You are not the first person they have attempted to destroy. They have previously engaged in this behavior. They have turned upon, gossiped about, and attempted to destroy others before, including you. The sole distinction? The final individual failed to pass. The pressure caused them to fold. The weight of the betrayal, the lies, and the loneliness caused them to shatter. And these folks also expected you to do just that. They have previously employed similar strategies such as manipulation, hearsay, whispering, and inciting the masses against a particular target. They like this game the most since it typically works. Under such strain, most individuals crack. Their confidence wanes. They back off. They begin to doubt themselves, wondering whether or not their adversaries have a point. And the war is already lost once that occurs. Then there is you, though. You didn't shatter, despite the same blows, betrayals, and attempts to destroy you. And it is what enrages them. They despise you for what you endured, not just for who you are. Like the others, you were expected to collapse. In the process, you were expected to give up, vanish, or at the very least, lose yourself. Rather, you maintained your position. They are now unsure on how to handle you. Recognize that their issue with you is strategic rather than personal. This strength wasn't intended for you. It wasn't meant for you to survive their attempts to ruin you. And since you did, you are now a threat rather than just another target. A reminder that their strategies aren't as effective as they initially believed. A representation of the one thing they are most afraid of, an uncontrollable person. So let them try again. Allow them to expend their energy, because the more they struggle, the more they demonstrate that they have never encountered someone like you. 9. Their mediocrity is insulted by your success. People are exposed, not simply inspired by success. You don't only shine when you start winning, you throw a shadow over others who don't want to change. And that's when the animosity starts. The majority of individuals are unwilling to put in the effort necessary to level up. Although they talk about wanting more, they are unable to act on it. They provide justifications. They remain in their comfort zones, telling themselves that success is reserved for the fortunate, that it is impossible to succeed, and that the system is rigged. However, you later show them to be mistaken. You were not expected to arrive. It was not intended for you to ascend above your surroundings. You broke their fantasies the instant you did. Because what's their justification if you, someone from the same location, who had the same problems, could achieve it? It hurts to realize that. They feel humiliated rather than motivated. Your achievement compels them to face the unpleasant reality that they had the same 24 hours, the same chances to work harder, take chances, and grow, but they chose not to. And they resort to hatred rather than that as inspiration. It's simpler for them to drag you down than to bring themselves up. They can remain precisely where they are guilt-free if they can persuade themselves that you cheated, got fortunate, or changed for the worse. Because it boosts their ego, they will remark things like, "You're different now," "Success got to your head," or "You forgot where you came from." The thing they don't realize, though, is that bringing you down won't make them better. They will ultimately remain in the same position no matter how much they undermine, talk, and disparage others. How about you? You'll continue to rise, demonstrating that they always had the option to be mediocre. Number 10. They despise that they can't be you, not you. Most of the time, hate is directed at what you stand for rather than you. They don't genuinely despise you personally. They detest the fact that you possess qualities that they lack, such as self-assurance, self-control, skill, and fortitude. They desire it and they see it, but their pride prevents them from lowering themselves to learn. They assault as the next best course of action. If you pay close attention, you'll see the contradiction. They say they hate you, but they follow your every step. They replicate your words, your manner, and your enthusiasm while criticizing everything you do. Despite their pretense of indifference, they are incredibly knowledgeable about you. That is a combination of obsession and jealousy rather than outright hatred. They research you to uncover weaknesses and defects that they may take advantage of, not to help you. However, they would never acknowledge the fact that they secretly wish they were you. It consumes them on the inside because it makes them realize how weak they are. They witness your power, your capacity to rise above the bullshit, and your refusal to crumble under duress. They choose the easy way, tearing you down to avoid having to confront their own faults, rather than using it as incentive to better themselves. Because of this, they will always find a reason to be against you, regardless of what you do. They'll make fun of you if you have trouble. They'll claim you're lucky if you succeed. They'll label you phony if you maintain your humility. They will accuse you of being conceited if you embrace confidence. Their reluctance to acknowledge that someone like you exists outside of their control is the problem, not you. Let them be hateful. Let them observe. Let them speak. You are everything they wish they had the guts to be, and every insult, smear campaign, and attempt to discredit you is simply more evidence of that. Number 11. There's a reason why the cosmos keeps you apart. Those who choose to sink cannot be saved. Not everyone is supposed to accompany you. Although it is one of the most difficult lessons to embrace, it is also one of the most crucial. You may wish the best for someone, love them, and encourage them, but there's nothing you can do if they don't get up. Some individuals are sinking because they have chosen to remain in the same cycles, the same poisonous behaviors, and the same justifications. They are not drowning because life was unjust to them. Additionally, their weight will pull you under if you're not careful. The cosmos is generating distance for a purpose. There are some talks, beliefs, and surroundings that you have outgrown. You are now exhausted with the things that used to amuse you. You no longer feel like you know the folks you used to relate to. That's growing, not being conceited or changing negatively. And as you mature, you'll always be able to tell who was there for a season and who was really intended to be in your life. Some individuals choose pity over answers. They want to connect over generational curses, not break them. When people see you climbing, they are angry that you accomplished it, rather than curious about how you did it. Because what justification do they have if you, someone who shared their origins, are able to rise? Many folks aren't prepared for that degree of introspection. Because it provides them a sense of identity, they cling to their challenges rather than evolving. You will also wear yourself out if you keep attempting to drag them along with you. Persuading others to desire more for themselves is not your responsibility. It's not your job to make them feel better by making them smaller. You are separated by the universe for a purpose: to keep you safe, to help you grow, and to prevent you from becoming stranded in a place you were never supposed to be. Let them go then. Allow them to remain in their current location. In actuality, they would have made the decision to climb as well if they were supposed to ascend with you. Number 12. Only you paid the price, yet others want the benefit without the suffering. The power, respect, and influence that come with being selected are all appealing to everyone. However, the pain that precedes it is what they do not desire. They don't want the lonely evenings, the self-doubt episodes, or the times when your only motivation was to keep going. They never paid the price, but they want the prize. When you were having trouble, where were they? When you had to make sacrifices, face treachery, and endure suffering, they would never comprehend. Not at all. They refused to shoulder the burden. However, they immediately demand a place at the table once you start winning. They will behave as though they had been on your side from the beginning. Some will even attempt to persuade you that you owe them money and that you wouldn't be in your current position without them. Let's face it, though, they did not experience what you experienced. They did not have to deal with rejection, losses, or times when you felt totally alone. The internal struggles that almost shattered you were not fought by them. Every win, every ounce of respect, and every bit of accomplishment were earned by you. They believe they should get a portion of your success now that you've ascended. No, that is not how life operates. You cannot claim the benefit without going through the pain. You can't celebrate in the palace with those who left you in the trenches. Your confidence in yourself does not help those who questioned it. The worst part is that they want to minimize the hardships you endured, not simply your accomplishment. They will minimize your hardship, pretend it wasn't that difficult, and give the impression that you had it easy. Because they would have to confess why they failed if they admitted the real cost you paid. Allow them to observe from a distance. Make them long for what you have. Since you are the one who endured the consequences, you should ultimately receive the prize. Number 13. They are forced to choose between their weakness and their better self by your presence. Not everyone loves what they see in the mirror that is your presence. People are obliged to face themselves when they enter a room. Some others are motivated to level up after witnessing your strength, discipline, and improvement. Others, though? Others feel vulnerable because they have been avoiding their own reflection for too long, not because you are passing judgment on them. It's easier to destroy someone who has grown than to acknowledge that they have remained stagnant. So those who attack you aren't truly at war with you. Rather, they are fighting the part of themselves that whispers, "You could be more. You could do better. You're wasting your potential." Rather than listening to that voice and rising higher, they silence it by turning against you. They feel guilty about their indolence after witnessing your commitment. They feel embarrassed by their fear when they witness your audacity. They are reminded that they have been using their past as an excuse for too long when they witness your capacity to move on despite suffering. The assaults start when they inquire, "Who do they think they are?" rather than, "How can I grow too?" They will make fun of you, reject you, or try to ruin your success, not because you've done anything wrong, but because your presence calls into question their justifications. They could tell themselves that they couldn't succeed as long as you didn't. However, they must now confront the fact that they had the option to do more, but choose not to. Allow them to struggle with themselves. Allow them to transfer their fears onto you. Their response to your presence reflects their resistance to change, not your value. What's the best part? Even after they have hated you, some of them will eventually come to the realization that you were never their adversary. You were the much-needed wake-up call that they didn't want. Number 14. The purpose of the storm is to clear the way, not to ruin you. The upheaval is meant to prepare you, not to shatter you. Everything that no longer serves you is being stripped away with each betrayal, loss, and lonely moment. You can't take the weak, the phony, and the envious with you. The storm is your filter, not your opponent. Storms don't always exist to cause destruction, despite popular belief. They can occasionally be there to clear the way, shake loose what was never real, reveal those who were just there for the easy times, and get rid of all that is preventing you from moving forward. And right now, that's precisely what's taking place. The individuals that departed were never intended to remain. The possibilities that didn't work out didn't fit your destiny. You are being forced to develop in ways you never would have on your own by the suffering you are experiencing. Remember all the times you felt like giving up and when you doubted your ability to live. Look where you are now, stronger, wiser, and more conscious. Not only did you survive, but you grew into something more as a result. And the same thing is happening with this storm. It's a change rather than a punishment. In actuality, most individuals cling to what is familiar and don't make it through this type of process. They plead for things to return to their previous state. The strain causes them to shatter. However, this is what you were made for. You will not only endure, you will triumph. And you and the way to something bigger will be the only things remaining when the storm eventually passes. Because ultimately, The storm only served to expose your true self, never to destroy you. The purpose of everything that has occurred, the betrayals, the hatred, the loneliness, has always been to expose you, not to shatter you. The cosmos was improving you, not punishing you. In order to have nothing left to drag you down as you climb, it was chopping away the weak, the phony, and the envious. You weren't made to carry individuals who won't mature, to blend in, or to win the approval of those who secretly envy you. You were destined to make an impression, to take a route that few others can brave, and to grow into something bigger than they ever imagined. Let them speak. Let them be hateful. Let them observe. What's coming for you won't be stopped by their opinions. What was intended for you would never be obstructed by their betrayals. None of the storms, attacks, or setbacks were arbitrary. Everything was a step in the process. And that you're still above the ground? That's sufficient evidence that you've already prevailed. It's your pivotal moment. The suffering marks the start of your ascent, not the conclusion of your tale. The loss was a necessary separation, not a failure. The rejection served as a redirection rather than a setback. You were never meant to lead a brief, unmemorable existence. You were never supposed to remain in locations that couldn't accommodate you. You were always destined for greater things. Now that everything has happened, you can see it for yourself. Don't look back then. Don't give an explanation. Avoid lowering yourself to accommodate them. Those that are worthy of being in your life will come to greet you. And those who attempted to undermine you, they will have no choice but to watch you enter everything they said you would never have. Because, at the end of the day, they were just another element in the storm and never your rival. And the storm is over now. The way is obvious. Now is the moment to begin living the life that was always intended for you. This is only the beginning. If this message resonated with you, if you experienced that change, that indisputable truth in your heart, you have more power, more knowledge, and more revelations in store for you. However, I require you to take action. Immediately subscribe to the channel. Participate in this movement rather than only observing it from a distance. If this resonated with you and validated what you already knew deep inside, hit the like button. Tell me what struck you the most in the comments section below. Let's discuss it. Together, we can make this energy a reality. A person who has been questioning himself, someone going through a difficult time, or someone who is about to rise but isn't even aware of it yet, should all hear this. Because this is change, not simply content. You won't want to miss what comes next, I promise.